Okay, gentlemen, hopefully you'll see the screen refresh, and in the absence of any schools just at the moment, I've started recording the session and we'll go back to the PowerPoint in between. We're going to start off this morning by looking at an elliptical galaxy which is colliding with a spiral galaxy, and its name, of course, is, let's see, galaxy is NGC 5128, and for any schools watching, don't worry too much about what that is. It's just a name for a number of things in the sky. It's saying that it's not visible. Finding that hard to believe. Looks like we'll have to go for another target then. So, that should have been visible today. Let's try a new target. And this one is NGC 4038. See if it lets me go. Yes, that one's visible. So if we click on it, there, NGC 4038, we should start to get the window popping up where we can move the telescope. In actual fact, it's two galaxies that we're going to look at now that are colliding, actually crashing together in space. And let me see, if I click on Move the Telescope, it will hopefully move the telescope, and we should be able to see a webcam image of the Faulkes Telescope there, an enormous telescope that should be moving in real time. As we have Alex and Rod from the Astronomical Society with us today, I wonder if they could give me a little smile if they can actually see that webcam image of the telescope moving. Great. So the Faulkes Telescope is moving around at the moment. We'll come on to explain what the Faulkes Telescope is in a minute. We weren't sure at the start of this session whether we were going to get control or not of the telescope, and it is a little bit hit and miss because we are using a rather complicated professional telescope over the internet. Now, I say it's complicated, it's not that complicated to use. We're just talking, it's a very complicated technology, and sometimes it's a little bit hit and miss. In fact, it's more often than not the weather that lets us down. There we are. The telescope is now pointing at the object we have selected. So we've moved the telescope, and now we're going to take a picture of this particular set of galaxies. We're going to take a colour picture, and it's fairly faint, but the moon is up, so I'm actually going to go for a 50-second exposure there. I type 50 into there, and I click on Make the Observation. And the telescope will now, having pointed to the right area in the sky, start to make 3 separate observations of these galaxies in space. And what that's doing is taking a red picture, a green picture, and a blue picture of the galaxies, and it then overlays them. Now this takes a little bit of time, so while this takes a little while, I'll hopefully flip back to, let me see, how do I finish application sharing? Back to the main screen, the whiteboard. There we go. Could you just give me a little smile there, Rod and Alex, if you can see us back on the whiteboard? Aha, we have Norton Primary School joining us. If I give you a microphone here, Mr. Stoddart, perhaps if I hand over control, you can say hello and tell us whether you're on your own or you've got a class with you today.
Hello, there's one class from Norton Primary School with me at the moment. We're just getting settled after lunchtime, which is why it's a bit noisy.
Yeah, there we go. We've actually taken control of the telescope, Mr. Stoddart, and we've got control of the telescope in Hawaii at the moment. And this telescope, here's a nice picture of it. Hopefully you can see that. Could you just give me a little smiley face if you can see that? Excellent. So on the left-hand side, if I pick up my my little magic marker, there we go. We can see the telescope here, and now I'm going to have to switch back to application sharing because I think we've just managed to actually take an image of something in space. So let me go back to the right one. Which one is it? Oh dear. For some reason, it's telling me that an error has taken place while we tried to take an exposure of this particular object. I will try it again. Now, Mr. Stoddart, can you give me a little smile if you can see that window popped up? If anyone can see that window popped up at the Faulkes Telescope, it should be a blue rectangle with a little indicator bar coming along the bottom side. Great, Rod's telling me you can do that. I'll leave that again for a few minutes and we'll go back to talk about the Faulkes Telescope, which hopefully, if I bring that whiteboard back up. So here we have the Faulkes Telescope. It's an enormous telescope. There's a picture of a man, fairly small, and this is an enormous reflecting telescope here, and it lives on the top of a mountain in Hawaii, all the way over here. Here is the observatory. It's not a round type observatory that you might normally expect to see. It's what we call a clamshell, and it's in Hawaii in an area called Haleakala. It's an enormous scope, and if I click over here, we can see it operating during the night time. There we are. The clamshell, which is over here to the right-hand side, opens up on both sides and reveals this amazing telescope inside, which is shown just here. And then there are no people here at all. It's all completely controlled over the internet by us at the moment. We have sole control of this. Now this is available to all schools for free in the UK, and it's not as hard to use as you might imagine. We'll be flicking backwards and forwards between these slides here, which are hopefully showing us what we're going to be pointing the telescope at, and the telescope control page. I've got my fingers crossed that the telescope is not going to come up with an error. At the moment it's taking a picture, and when we move on to the next object you'll see the telescope moving in real time using a web camera. So I'll just give you a bit of an indication of what the telescope is pointing at the moment. Could you give me a little smile there if you can see that? Rod and Alex can see that. Just to introduce you, Mr. Stoddart, Rod and Alex are from the Astronomical Society. They've joined us here, and they're going to be able to answer children's questions as we go along. So we're going to try and take a picture of this, which is a weird thing. It's called the Antennae Galaxies. Here we are, the Antennae Galaxies. And everything in the sky has a weird and wonderful name associated with it. Not necessarily a fantastic name like the Antennae Galaxy. This and many other objects have numbers named after them. So this is actually NGC 4038, this thing here. It stands for New General Catalogue 4038. And we're looking at something that is a very, very long way away. You can see down here, we're looking at something that is 45 million light years away. And a light year is, of course, 6 trillion miles. So multiply 45 by 6 trillion, and that tells you how many miles away this is in space. And our telescope is just taking a picture of that. Okay, if I just hand the microphone over, if you'd like to ask any questions, Mr. Stoddart, while I switch back over to the telescope.
Right, go on then.
Is it night time in Hawaii?
Brilliant, yeah, that's a good question. It is nighttime in Hawaii, so we've just gone past 1 o'clock here, and the telescope is in the nighttime in Hawaii, and it's looking up in the nighttime sky. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning in Hawaii, and the weather looks quite good. There aren't too many clouds around, but you may have noticed over the last few nights as you've been outside and looked up in the sky that the moon is almost full. And a full moon is not good if you want to look at other things in the sky, because it's very, very bright and it creates something that we call light pollution. And sometimes it doesn't let us see a fantastic picture of some of the things we want to look at in the sky, because I don't know whether you've tried it with a camera at home, but sometimes if you're taking a picture of something and you shine a bright light on it, it doesn't make it look so good. And that's the same situation we've got with the moon. So it's nighttime in Hawaii, everyone's fast asleep over there, which is why there's no people helping us. The observation has been completed. If I click OK, we'll now see the image coming down from space. We'll be the only people to see this. And hopefully it'll look a little bit like that picture we looked at. Can you smile? Give me a little smile if you can see it coming down the line.